Hello and welcome to Indigenous Health 453, Wise Practices in Indigenous Community Health. My name is Alex Kent and I am the instructor for summer 2017. In this video I am going to introduce you to the course and help you get familiar with the Course Spaces webpage. I'd like to start off by acknowledging the traditional territories of Lekwungen and Wasanich peoples on whose territories the University of Victoria resides. My office is also located here. It is the Center for Indigenous Research and Community-Led Engagement, otherwise known as CIRCLE. As I mentioned, it is located at INGH. So if you live nearby, please do stop in and introduce yourselves. Otherwise, if you're a distance student, I introduce myself, go into a bit more depth in the introductions forum. I'm going to talk more about Course Spaces soon, but to show you where that is, if you take a look on my screen here, we're scrolling down to Unit 1, and it will appear like this. Open it up, and there's Introductions. You can click on it. Although I am assuming that if you're watching this video, you've already made it as far as finding the course on your Course Spaces dashboard. So congratulations for making it that far. I realize many of you are students in the Public Health and Social Policy Bachelor Program in Health and Community Services. I also did my bachelor's in that program, but there's also some of you who are taking this course as an elective. You may or may not be familiar with the dynamics of online learning or using Course Spaces as a course management web source. So that's why I'm providing this video, but it also provides some important background information. I'm going to go over the syllabus, not necessarily point by point, so please do take the time to look at it. There's some important information, some helpful tips in there, but I've also laid out the Course Spaces page to hopefully offer some strategic guidance along the way as well. Okay, so to go over the course and Course Spaces, I'm going to go to this side of my screen and expand this. So I'm going to wave goodbye. You'll still hear my voice, but more importantly, you'll see the course. So here we are, Wise Practices in Indigenous Community Health. We're going to scroll down. You'll see some contact information. Please email me at my email listed. Here's the location of my office. You can arrange an appointment by email. There's also the internal mail function that you'll find on the right side, and that is available to communicate with me or with your peers. But again, I would prefer if you emailed me at my UVic email. We're going to go over the syllabus, which I've posted in two forms here. We have the course book, and then I've listed it as a PDF as well for your convenience. I'm going to go ahead and open up the course book. Give me a second here. So we start with an acknowledgement of the land, which I've already done, and I'm going to move into about this course. I'm not going to go over everything point by point, so please do take the time to go through it at your own pace. And there's lots of information that is going to help you excel in this course. I've included resources to help you with your assignments, and some general tips throughout as well. In this course, we're going to focus on several examples of wise practices in Indigenous community health, focusing particularly on health promotion, research, policies, and knowledge translation. I want to emphasize that this course is strengths-based, and we'll be celebrating wise practices. That's not to say we can't engage in critical analysis. But we need to be careful that we aren't framing Indigenous health from a deficit perspective that highlights inequities or disparities, especially in the absence of colonial context. You'll see here in the format that there is no textbook, but all readings can be found online. And I've created a course reserve through UVic libraries, and if you go back to our homepage here, you'll see that that can be accessed under the syllabus. So library course reserves, if you click on that, you'll either have to log in to University of Victoria Libraries. I'm already logged in, so it appears here, and when you click on it, it's just loading. Then you'll see all of the courses. They are organized alphabetically, but you'll see in the syllabus and then in course spaces as well that certain articles or readings are assigned for each unit. I'm going to go back to the syllabus here, and I'm going to move on past about this course to assignments. And you can flip the page either by using these arrow icons, top and bottom, or by using the table of contents to navigate between the different pages. I've included these numbers here to correlate with some important notes. All assignments must use proper APA formatting and citation guidelines, and I've included an APA resource in the syllabus for you to click on, also available in course reserves. Assignments must be submitted through course spaces as Word documents, and absolutely must follow UVic's policy on academic integrity. That means proper referencing of quotes, ideas, images, etc. This course, although online, is not self-paced. There are due dates and there are penalties for submitting late work. So please do get your work submitted on time. The deadline for doing so is 11:55 p.m. On the specified due date, which is always on a Sunday, whether that be for a bi-weekly reading response or one of your major assignments. I'm not going to go over in detail all of the assignments because you can read those here. I will highlight a couple things. First of all, for assignment 1, it's not really an assignment, but rather a participation grade for bi-weekly reading responses. So over the course of the semester, you will participate 6 times in these responses. Each of them is worth 5% of your total grade. These are 300 to 500 words, and you're going to be engaging with the assigned readings. You can also draw from your personal or professional experiences or other sources that you have read in other courses. I've included a resource down here for writing a critical response. Gives you some tips on what kind of content or questions you may want to consider. I'll also draw your attention here to an optional component that fits within assignment 1. I want to get you engaging in your communities or with Indigenous organizations. So if there is an organized event happening this summer that you would like to attend, I've suggested a couple here, such as the National Gathering of Graduate Students in Indigenous Health Research. My office, Circle, is hosting a Learning Institute, and then there's some other events, or if you have one in mind, feel free to run it by me. If you would like to attend one of these events, you are able to write a reflection piece in place of your bi-weekly reading response. So rather than writing 300 to 500 words on the readings for that unit, you would write 300 to 500 words on your experience at one of these events. Alternatively, if you want to do all 6 reading responses, but you would also like to go to an event and submit a reflection, you can get up to 5% bonus credit for submitting a 7th piece. So if you are going to opt for this activity, please do run it by me. I think it could be a great way to get involved and put your knowledge into practice, or just move from the virtual learning setting to a more in-person, more intimate learning environment. While we're on the topic of assignments, I'm going to go back to our Course Spaces homepage and show you where these will be submitted. For the bi-weekly reading responses, please post those underneath the appropriate units. So you'll see Unit 1 has a Dropbox, Unit 1 reading response. You will open it here. There's a description, same as the syllabus, and there will be a box where you can upload your Word document, and then you'll have to click once more to submit it. And then for all other assignments, you'll find those correlating Dropboxes underneath the assignments at the top. And again, all of the descriptions of assignments are posted both in the syllabus and underneath the Dropbox. And the resources that I have suggested are also included here, for instance, the APA Style Guide. Moving back to the syllabus, I've tried to diversify the types of assignments you'll be doing. So there is a reflection piece, there is a research paper, and there is a PowerPoint proposal where you will be proposing either a program, research, or policy that will draw from the knowledge and evidence that you gained through your research paper. For your research paper, please do try to select a topic that you're interested in enough at least to do 2 assignments, because your research paper and your final proposal assignment are linked. You'll have an opportunity to submit an outline of your research paper early in June. I'm going to do my best to provide feedback within a week, which would then give you about 3 weeks to work on the paper itself. And then the idea behind this was that you would have, whereas most other courses require you to do your final term paper at the end, and it's due at the end. In this case, July 28th is the end of the semester. I was hoping that by providing a more creative option to do a PowerPoint, that may alleviate some of the stress, and hopefully you can have some fun with it. And if you haven't done a PowerPoint type assignment, maybe you are just not confident using the software, I have also included a resource here for designing effective presentations that are appropriate for professional audiences or community audiences. This is the schedule at a glance. As I mentioned, they are bi-weekly, which means every 2 weeks you will do assigned readings and you will submit a reading response. They start on Monday and Sunday. Each bi-weekly unit has a theme, and then the assigned readings fall under that. First 2 weeks are foundational knowledge, where we will cover some of the similarities and differences in Indigenous and Western models of wellness, as well as cultural safety, social location, and intersectionality. before we move on and look at some examples of wise practices in health promotion, health research, health policy, and knowledge translation. Another thing I wanted to note when we were discussing assignments is that in the final week, rather than doing your bi-weekly reading response, we will be engaging in a virtual sharing circle with the class. The way I've formatted this is a discussion forum where we will each contribute one or more posts where we will share some of the learnings we have gained throughout the semester, particularly in relation to sharing the proposals that we will be in the process of developing or already have developed for our final assignment. Below here is a diagram of how all the unit themes kind of work together. I created this diagram, but it is adapted from an existing model. The link to that is provided here. And I think that this will all come together and make sense, and I'll try to explain it more as we go throughout the course in terms of how Indigenous worldviews and Western worldviews inform our practice, and how practice, research, and policy kind of work together for the benefit of and through the participation of community, all with knowledge translation feeding in between and throughout these practices, or the wise practices. Following the overview, or the schedule at a glance, we have a detailed weekly schedule. This is quite dense. It provides an overview of the unit with a list of the learning activities and the readings. This is also broken up in each of the units to focus specifically on what is due at that time. So if you go back to Unit 1, for instance, we can open up Unit 1 readings. And here we have the overview, learning activity, and readings. In addition to the assigned readings, in some of the units I've also included some documents or websites that I would like you to scan. These are typically very long documents that I would just like you to either focus on a section, for instance in this case page 42 to 44, or sections that interest you, or if it's an entire website, maybe browse through some of the pages, as in this case the cultural safety module. I also have in one of the units some documents for your reference, and I specify that these are not required, but they're good to have on hand if, for instance, you are going to conduct Indigenous research. And unfortunately, the way it worked, Reading Week kind of lies in the middle of Unit 5, so it's a bit confusing, but Unit 5 will start a week before Reading Week, then you'll have Reading Week a week following, and then there will be one more week of Unit 5 following Reading Week. So I've tried to explain it here. June 26th to July 2nd is the first part of Unit 5. There's going to be a break for Reading Week, and then July 10th to 16th is Unit 5 Part 2. These last few pages here, we have course communication, university policies, student support, course resources. These are the standard piece of information that you're going to find in any syllabus and you're probably familiar with. I've already mentioned that I would like it if you use my UVic email address, but in urgent matters, I've also provided my cell phone number. You can text or call me if necessary, but an email, because it's time-stamped, is sufficient if, for instance, you're having problems submitting your paper on time. that brings me to the end of the syllabus, but I have included a form here under communication, course announcements, if there's anything I forgot, or if you have questions about anything I've said, or an open forum for questions either related to course administration or course content. I'd also like to highlight for a quick second here that there's a course experience survey. I'll be collecting your feedback midterm and end of term. I'll send out an announcement or an email requesting that you fill these out, and that's really important for me to hear what is working for you or perhaps what isn't working for you, so I can adjust things if necessary and learn for my own professional development. So thank you for taking the time to watch this, and I look forward to engaging with you further. Take care, guys.